I want to speak to you on three themes. Firstly, that if we rejoice about what we have and what we do, our children will have a good memory. So we have to train our children to be happy with what they have and happy with what they study. If they study grumblingly, they will not remember. Because the happiness process of oxytocin, serotonin and GABA also is involved in remembering well. Because they remember well-being and they remember their studies. If they get crotchety, you scold them, or teachers are not nice or unpleasant, if they feel it's unpleasant, they won't remember. So you must not always think the problem is with the student. You have to do your best to provide them circumstances in which they can study happily. Happiness produces good memory. Also, if you continue rejoicing and with thanksgiving, your gastric acid will behave well. You will not get migraine. You will not get irritable bowel syndrome. In those diseases that are connected with dopamine, serotonin and other neurochemical transmitters and adrenocortisol system, the hypertension, diabetes, many things have a contribution in the stress you feel and your sense of demand more than supply. So if we can have godliness with contentment, it becomes great gain and it becomes a healing factor. So what's the bottom line principle? To be happy with what you have, to rejoice with what you do, and we have a promise that there is a joy of salvation. That is a spiritual experience when you receive the Good Shepherd, Lord Jesus Christ. He saves you from the things that troubled you. He saves you from condemnation. He saves you from trying to climb more than you can. He teaches us temperance, what to, how to. And He gives us satisfaction easily. Blessed are they that thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. So these are inbuilt into our experience with our Good Shepherd, who anoints our head with oil and who makes my table and causes my cup to run over. That's the spiritual experience of having enough. And it's a spiritual experience to feel that my demand is well supplied. I am rewarded. It is good to do this. I am happy. I am rejoicing to look after my children. So to have a rejoicing, grateful attitude even about your job, your boss, if not, things will only become worse. Second principle is consider every opportunity as a good ground, and what you have, your ability, is a seed to sow. So if a beggar comes to your door, don't growl and scowl, but give what you can and speak kindly. So beggar was the plot of ground, what you have is the seed. So you made an investment of a seed, a sowing and a planting for eternity, and there's a good harvest in it. God rewards you. So think of any opportunity to help the weak, strengthen those who don't have much, as an investment that came your way, not a trouble that came your way. Investment, even when you are visiting someone in hospital, whatever the situation is, you consider it a God-given investment. So I define poverty as lost opportunity. You had the opportunity, you didn't invest. So time investment, money investment, ability investment, knowledge investment, helping a poor person's child with some tuition fees, which may be nothing for you but much for him. All those that's good ground for which God has already given you a seed. So work with the God factor, that God is the Lord of the harvest. He gave you the seed. And it is in His providence opportunities come. Don't let those opportunities miss you, because you miss the harvest and you miss the God kind of prosperity. Can you work with that? Then we are told in Psalm 2, why are the nations in uproar and the people devising a vain thing all the time? They are in uproar and they want to break the boundaries and the bands God has placed for human life. About sexuality, beyond binary sexuality, thinking madness and rebelling against God, and anti-God behavior, immoral behavior, justifying anything, consuming anything. Marriage was meant to be lifelong, between husband and wife, treating marriage casually. then sex before marriage, then murdering the unborn. Abortion is murder. Hippocrates had it in his oath that as a medical practitioner, I will not help women procure an abortion. That was the oath we took in 1972 when we entered medical faculty. Ironically, that very year, the International Medical Association scrapped that off from the oath of Hippocrates, and they made their own oath without the abortion proviso. I'm just giving you examples. When man made rebellion, what disasters they brought on themselves. Then what is God looking for in a situation like that? He says He'll look for a little Zion where people joyfully consider Him the King and worship Him, and in that little Zion, as He calls it, He is able to exercise His scepter and His righteousness. Such an occasion was the Methodist movement pioneered by John Wesley. At that time, every household of England was in great trouble and in economic distress. If not for Methodism, historians say, England was ready to go through a revolution like the French Revolution. But John Wesley and the Methodist movement brought back sanity. At that time, before the Methodist movement came, 1 out of 3 houses in England made illicit liquor called gin. That was a home industry. Men were drunk all the time. Quite a few women were drunk. Children didn't go to school. It was chaotic. But Wesley brought up school books, printed literature to make illiterate England literate. And by the time of his death, England had really come up in Europe. And economy had improved, spirituality had improved. So the lampstand that God gave John Wesley reformed England. So this is why when there's a group of people whom God calls Zion, like in David's time, a city or a ruling community that rule with God, worship the Lord with reverence, rejoice with trembling, then things begin to change in the nation. This is the hope of Sri Lanka. As Christians put their head into God's work and into nation's governance, manufacture, and as we worship the Lord will bring sanity, the Lord will bring His lampstand, Lord will bring His scepter, the Lord will anoint our head with oil, Lord will provide the table, the Lord will cause our cup to run over. Good Shepherd shall be the Lord of the nation. I'm Dr. Lalith Mendis. I'm the Director of Club Empathic Learning Center. So today the talk was about keep children rejoicing that they might study and remember. My normal subject, brain and screen, balance. If you want any clips, please send a WhatsApp to +94 74 211 5011. If you want a cost-free consultation for kids who may be in digital trouble or other trouble, please give a telephone call to 077 151 2801 for a cost-free consultation. Thank you for listening. I am Dr. Lalith Mendis. We'll meet in another midday broadcast tomorrow.